everyone, this is Captain Logan, and I'm here with Zipblockgory.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about a topic that Zipblockgory came up with that sounds like a lot of fun. And why don't you go ahead and explain what we're going to be talking about?
Well, we're going to be talking about when movies come out for specifically superhero comic book movies, and if they're good, people generally seem to like the characters. They want to learn more about the characters, research them, and whatnot. But then if the movie is bad, people don't really have an interest in the character, or they think the character is that way, the way it's portrayed in the movie. So that topic is really something we can expound upon, and let's see where it goes.
Well, the first thing I want to mention is I think a lot of this comes down to movies being considered by the general populace to be somehow more valid than any other medium.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And so what we see on the silver screen, as a general populace, is what that character is. And, people, of course, aren't going to take the time to go research and see what they were before, what the source material was, and that kind of thing. And so, if the Ghost Rider movie wasn't very good, then everybody thinks that's what Ghost Rider is.
Uh-huh, exactly. But then you have the opposite of that spectrum, it's kind of interesting with a character like Batman, because before Nolan, he had kind of iffy movies, but now, people just like, oh, Batman's amazing. I see why, this character's great. Even if you haven't watched the animated series, you're just like, oh, I really dig this character.
Yeah, that's totally right. So I don't know, it's kind of sad in a way, because it's like we kind of rely on the movies to make people like these characters, and the flip of this, the real big flip of this is Iron Man.
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
Because who cared about Iron Man before Robert Downey?
Exactly. I always tell people this. Robert, to me, is to Iron Man what Christopher Reeves was to Superman. He really just brought the character to the mainstream.
Oh, absolutely. And was like one of the greatest casting choices of all time. In fact, in my top 50 casting choices, I put him above Christopher Reeve and got some flack for it. But I was just like, well, there's different ways to do Superman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, uh-huh.
And like Robert Downey was Tony Stark already. Like I felt a little blasphemous myself doing that. But just as far as casting choices went, it's like that's the guy. And what was really weird about Iron Man is before it came out, I really thought it was going to be like Daredevil or Fantastic Four, where it would be somewhat successful, but it was Iron Man at the time to me felt like almost a second string character. Like he was really big on teams, but by himself, he wasn't really that big of a deal. And those movies just changed his entire status.
Yeah, because it's interesting, because when they show the trailers to that movie, I'm like, I don't think people are going to buy into this, but, it just goes to show that trailers really just lie sometimes. You just don't know what to expect. You can't judge a movie based on the trailer.
No, you can't at all. And I wish people would stop trying to, because
yes,
trailers, and I say this constantly, but trailers don't exist to tell you what's in the movie. They exist to try to get you to go to them.
Agreed.
And I think it's impossible, even for guys like us, I think it's impossible to not be influenced by a trailer. They do help us decide what we want to see, but we can't assume that they're going to actually tell us anything about what's going to happen in a film.
Exactly, because some stuff is cut out from the trailers and whatnot, or added, and you just never know.
Well,
but,
and they get marketed where, like, they'll try to make a movie look like sometimes even a different genre just to get those people to go see them. And but I wouldn't say that Iron Man wasn't marketed as what it is. It just didn't seem, I don't know. You look at the marketing for Iron Man 2, and all of a sudden it looks like a way bigger movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, we know people will go to this one.
Yeah, because the first one was established. I'm like, I'm pretty sure people are going to go see this one too.
The thing that really gave me a lot of hope, though, with both, Begins to a point, but especially, Dark Knight and Iron Man came out the same summer, is that, those did well because they were good movies.
Oh, yeah. And
it's nice that can still happen, that it's not just the popcorn eating crowd that likes these kinds of things. It's like we can give people a little bit more credit if they'll go to movies like that and enjoy them, because they're actually really smart films that mean something.
Yeah, it gives me hope, because I don't know, with movies are very impactful because you can just say, oh, movies are just entertainment. They're just there for you to watch or something to do to pass time. But I think movies are a lot more than that. I mean, these things really affect people in different ways, you know. And then you can walk out of a movie just feeling like you've gone through a life experience, and that tells you something about this medium.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the fact that superheroes are such a big deal, you know, it's kind of important that we try to make the best ones we can, because they're some of the that's one of the most popular genres right now. It's crazy that happened, but I mean, like, they've got to be a little bit more than just people putting on capes and going around punching each other.
Yeah, because I never thought the superhero genre would be this big. I was like, I mean, Superman and Batman were pretty much established characters. People know about that. I'm like, I don't think it's going to go any further than this, because I know the tights and stuff I didn't think people would buy into, but I'm like, wow. I mean, ever since really Blade, it's just been going strong. Yeah,
well, and you have to, the stepping stones really are Blade, X-Men, and Spider-Man. And I mean, you know, you gotta thank X-Men for the fact that, you know, really smart, established superhero movie got made. Because I mean, Blade was popular, people had no idea what Blade was, and then X-Men people had heard of, and then Spider-Man blew it out of the ballpark.
Oh yeah, because it doesn't just appeal to us comic book fans. I mean, the people who don't have any interest in reading comics, they like this stuff too. So it's like, hey, even if they don't want to read the comics, you can introduce them to a character that you like through the movies, and I think that's great.
Yeah. What characters do you think have gotten the worst rap from bad movies?
Recently, I would definitely say Superman from Superman Returns.
I don't think that hurts Superman though. Just as a character, do you?
Well, you know, in comparing Superman to Batman, I hear this a lot. Maybe it's just on the internet, but
yeah.
They're like, oh, Batman's awesome, Superman's lame. I'm like, why do you think he's lame? Do you think it's because of the movies, or do you think it's because of the cartoons, or what about the character don't you like? I'm like, and a lot of people just give me the answer. Well, Batman's more realistic. Superman has no weakness and whatnot, and I try to explain it to him, but I don't know. Some people you just can't get through to.
Yeah, I don't think Superman Returns helped Superman's image, certainly, but I certainly don't think that it was doing so well before that either with a lot of fans, because, you know, Batman blew up, and people decided they liked, you know, a character that they thought they could relate to better. And it's really easy for people to jump to, like you said, to jump to the thing with Superman. Well, he's too powerful. I can't relate to him. He's perfect, that sort of thing. And, you know, certainly there have been a lot of really great things, in comics that have turned that on its head a little bit. And, you know, obviously the biggest thing on a lot of people's minds right now is All-Star, which totally did that. But as far as movies go, you know what the last movie we had was before Superman Returns?
What was that?
Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Oh,
I mean, that's the last time we had a Superman film, yeah. So I'm just saying, it's not like it was doing great before that, if you're just thinking about films.
You know, I think people...
And that barely qualifies.
I know I'm probably going to get crap for this, but...
Yeah.
I think people respect Smallville more than they do the Superman movies.
Oh, no, absolutely. Smallville got popular, and I mean, Smallville was more popular than the, you know, most recent Superman movies, and by most recent I mean 1987. 1989 actually, I think was Superman 4. But yeah, the thing about it was, from what we had seen before, you know, not necessarily counting the first Donner movie, but I mean Superman 2 on, you know, the original cut that we all knew, Superman 2 and onward, the first season of Smallville actually felt more realistic.
It did. I think that's what people really like about Smallville. It's like, oh, Superman's a lot more grounded. He's not flying yet. He seems a little bit more human. I think people are drawn to that.
And it worked for a couple of years.
Yeah. But of course, the show has been dragged out for too long. But, you know,
too long. Well, yeah, and the thing is, I think most people would point to season 4 as the point where it really went south. The problem is we had 7 more seasons after that.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, I can kind of see, okay, we want to finish it off with a decade, okay, but, you know, there comes a point where you're just dragging stuff out just too long. I mean, this story should have been wrapped up
Well, it
by
had
now.
a lot of problems from its inception. The thing about Smallville is you get an idea like that where you're going to do, okay, we're going to do the early years of Superman, and it's going to be a high school show. That's 4 seasons tops.
Agreed.
That's 4 seasons tops. Like you do like Battlestar or Babylon 5, and you decide how many seasons it's going to be from the outset.
Yeah.
And then you plan it out ahead of time. And that was its first mistake. And the second mistake was they decided to try to make it episodic and drag it out. So, it didn't start as being an arc-y kind of show. And then later they acted like they wanted these giant season arcs, and then they still had a bunch of these filler episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, Oh, sorry, go ahead.
One thing I will give the show, though, in recent years, they have introduced characters like Green Arrow, who has become a very popular fan favorite. I mean, people
that's
like
right.
interested in it. I'm like, that's good. That's great.
What's funny about that is that it has done some characters really badly, but I don't think it's really affected people's opinions of those characters like it has the ones it's done well, which is interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always said this. Smallville turned me into a Lex Luthor fan. I mean, that's why I was into it in the first place. And I won't apologize for that. Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor is the greatest Lex Luthor we've ever had. That's just my opinion.
I will agree with that. I mean, the way they did Lex is fantastic on that show. He's easily probably the best part of the show. Him and his dad, Lionel Luthor, too.
Yeah, well, and John Glover is just a class act.
Oh yeah.
But as time went on, of course, he got more two-dimensional, and Rosenbaum's acting never faltered. But in later years, there really did feel to me like a light switch, where it was just like, oh man, now he's evil. But regardless of that, it's still best Lex Luthor. But there were characters they did really badly that it certainly didn't taint the image of those characters in the minds of the fans. I don't think. I don't think anybody's like, oh, now Mxyzptlk is terrible because they did him badly in that one episode of Smallville.
Oh yeah, I still love the character of Doomsday, even though they did him terribly on the show. But
I didn't know you liked Doomsday. I thought you were kind of anti-Doomsday.
No, I like Doomsday. I like when they make the character seem important, not just bring him back and then have him beat up and then that's it.
Yeah,
do something
I agree
new
with
with
that.
the character.
See, I know we went on with Smallville for a little bit, but I think it's interesting how it's the positive things with that show that a lot of people remember.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of problems, and the last several years I don't think it's had any kind of decent writing really.
When it's all said and done, I will collect the series, just because I am a Superman fan. But yeah, there is a lot of problems. I mean, they just now. I mean, I watched a recent episode. They just now gave the guy the glasses.
That didn't work at all. That didn't even kind of work.
Yeah, the way they explained it, I'm like, okay, you established this quote-unquote realistic world, and I'm like, nah, I don't think this is going to work out. I don't think people are going to buy into it.
The man's picture is everywhere. I mean, when the show started and they put Metropolis 3 hours away from Smallville, the first thing I thought was, the very first episode, I thought, okay, they're that close to Metropolis, and he's going to go around every week saving people, and he's going to be in police reports and stuff. Superman will have to wear a mask.
It's gotten to the point where he's going to have to now.
Well, but he's not, because and that episode that you're talking about, because I watched that today, and that was all about that, where he's like, nope, actually I don't have to wear a mask because I have these glasses and that's going to work. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. And you guys are just, it's just another one of those contrivances. I mean, it's just as bad as the season arc villain that we beat in 2 minutes in the last episode of a season.
Yeah,
it's as bad as that, which, by the way, they do every year.
Agreed. I mean, I don't know. That show is just really tipsy-topsy for me. There's some episodes I really love, some episodes I'm just like, I don't know how they're getting away with this.
It's such a love-hate relationship for me. And it's like, they're really inconsistent in season by season, because they'll have these really phenomenal 3 or 4 episodes, and then the whole rest of the season is written the same kind of bad. And I'm like,
yeah,
really?
I just really hate how they just keep making him a whiner. It's like, he should be a man. He should be more confident now in himself. I don't know.
10 years? Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't know. I guess we kind of got off on that. But I'm not sure if that has anything to do with what we were talking about, but
oh well.
Other than just the interesting phenomenon of I'm not sure if that's really hurt any characters at all, and in fact some of it's made up characters people have loved as much as comic book characters, and I think they have finally introduced Lois Sullivan in the continuity.
Yeah.
In the comics, I don't remember where, but I think it finally happened.
It's going to be interesting because with this year, as far as talking about, it's going to be interesting to see people's reactions to Thor, Captain America,
Yeah.
Green Lantern, or whatnot. Like, how are they going to take these characters now?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're so different characters in, say, Superman or Batman, which to me are kind of the standard. But it's going to be interesting.
It's gonna be a huge summer, and it's gonna be nice to finally have another, presumably good summer for superhero movies. Last year was just kind of a downer.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we had Iron Man 2, but there's nothing else going on. So yeah, the great thing about Captain America and Thor is that these are not characters we've done before, but they're characters people already like.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to be really nice to see that. Captain America we had, one low-budget movie for, and I think people have been itching for a Captain America movie for years. Like, I think that Captain America, I think, is in some ways the Marvel Superman for a lot of people, where like, there's a lot of people who know who he is because he's, the all-American hero, but they don't know much about him. And so he's needed a movie for a long time.
And I think people that's going to be in the seats like, oh, Captain America, like that name, just that name alone is going to get people in the seats.
Frankly, I think Marvel made a big mistake by having anything in that title other than Captain America.
Yeah, the first Avenger, I don't know. I know the Avengers is coming, but I think they need to just, I don't know. They should have left that out of the title.
I think it's interesting that, Marvel makes those movies and Fox does the X-Men films, and they both did that. I think it's really interesting. I mean, they did the same thing with X-Men Origins Wolverine. Both of these, to me, sound like direct-to-video animated features.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I don't know. It's strange. Like, they just said Thor. They didn't say Thor the Mighty Avenger. Like, they could have easily done that, but...
Well, and since they're all in the same universe and all that, and they're it's supposed to be one big package deal, I don't know why they wouldn't have a uniform system for naming these things.
Yeah.
Like Iron Man is just Iron Man. Like I don't know why. I mean, at the very least, if you're gonna give them a title other than just the character name, do what they did with Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. Like they should have named, I don't know, Invincible Iron Man, or I don't know. I don't think Captain America has anything besides his Captain America.
Yeah, he doesn't. Well, he doesn't need it. He's Captain America.
Yeah, that's true. True. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if they make the Black Widow movie, what are they going to call that? The Female Avenger, Black Widow.
That's going to be strange, but yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like you said, we can't judge too much from trailers, but it looks like a good summer. Like it's hard to imagine that they will mess up either of those. And so far, Marvel Studios is batting 1,000.
Yeah, they've proven that they can make good movies with Iron Man and Incredible Hulk, so I'm looking forward to this. Me, I'm more concerned about GL, Green Lantern.
Oh, really?
I've
got no stake in Green Lantern because I don't really care for Green Lantern that much, so I'm just like, I don't have a lot of stake in it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to I hope this is successful because I am like big into Green Lantern.
Yeah.
But I just don't think the audience is going to buy into that. But if they can buy into all this other stuff, why not? It's just if you can do, I mean, it's all in the way you present it. I mean, anything is done good. Yeah. I
mean, again, it's hard to take much from advertising, but from what it looks like, I can see why you'd be concerned because to be fair, it looks a little more comedic than what I would have done with it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, don't do this. Don't mess it up. It almost gave me a Green Hornet feel. I'm like, oh no.
Well, I'm sure that's not where it's going, but I mean, the thing is, at the same time, you could have seen every comedy moment in the trailer.
True, very true. But only time will tell.
But no, the way you do silly cosmic stuff is you just play it as straight as you can play it.
Because a lot of people have said, Green Lantern, you can compare Green Lantern to Star Wars. I'm like, yeah, you could. I mean, if that's successful, why not Green Lantern? I don't know. It's just the way it all depends on how they do it.
Well, the original Superman, Richard Donner's Superman. You watch the first 20 minutes of that movie. That is not a superhero film. That is through and through an epic science fiction film.
True. Yeah.
And I mean, it becomes a superhero film in the third act, but I mean, it is a science fiction film, and it's like you said, it's all in how you present it. It could have turned silly, and guess what? It did later. And it did. It turned silly.
Unfortunate, but true.
There's no reason it had to be that way. But Green Lantern could be exactly the same way. You could totally play that as a very straight science fiction film. And they've been trying to pitch it that way. They've been trying to say, oh yeah, we went the science fiction direction with this. And I'm like, see, that will make it a better film if that's what they actually did.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, and even the non-comic book movie stuff coming out. Like it's going to be a great summer for movies in general.
We need one because last year hurt.
Yeah.
At least me, I don't know. We had Inception, but that's all anybody talked about. It was like, yeah, we had Inception. I'm like, yeah, but we didn't have anything else.
True.
Not much. We had that, we had Toy Story 3, and we're making a really big deal out of Pixar. And guess what? They put out a great movie every year.
They do.
I hate to be used to this, but I'm used to this. We need more good movies, We need people to live up to Pixar.
Yeah.
Rather than being like naive enough to pretend like, oh yay, Pixar made a good movie. No, they always make a good movie.
I just really think they need to take more times in making movies in general. They need to just... It just seems like they're trying to pump out stuff. I don't blame them. Of course, everybody's got to make their money, but...
Oh, sure.
It's like, can you take more time on this stuff and, put out something... I mean, you're putting a bunch of money into this stuff that can easily be put towards something else, like, world hunger and whatnot. But, and then you give us a bad movie. It's like, come on.
That's a really good point. If you're going to spend $60 million on a film, it better be good. Because you're going to use that for something a lot more important. You could have fixed all these potholes out by my house, but no. You had to make Superman Returns.
Exactly.
I don't know. Going back to what we started with, because we've been kind of all over the map, but that's okay. I've enjoyed myself. Okay, here's some characters that I think people don't have an affinity for that they would have had we made better movies. How about Silver Surfer?
Yeah. That's a character I love Silver Surfer. I think he can do great, but like I said, it all depends on how you present it. I like the way they did him in the Fantastic Four movie. It's just the movie itself wasn't good.
Yeah, well, I liked how he moved and what he looked like and some of what he had to say, but the story itself didn't work.
I wish they would do more less grounded, realistic characters, because look, I love realistic movies like The Dark Knight and whatnot, but I want to see more, epic space adventures. I want to see more variety with these. Because for a while, they were just like, oh, we got to make everything realistic now. They even talking about, let's make Superman dark and more grounded. I'm like, no. Every movie doesn't have to be like that. There are different characters. You can do different variety of things with them.
Yeah. I can see the merit to doing Superman that way just so that you can try to make him more relevant to today, because the big problem you have with Superman right now is a lot of people don't like him because they don't understand him. So I can see why you'd want to make a really serious Superman movie right now. But boy, that doesn't mean we need to do it to everything. That doesn't mean we need the dark Fantastic Four movie.
Exactly. Yeah. And don't be afraid of costumes. I mean, I've always talked about this. Like, don't be afraid of colorful costumes. I mean, you don't have to make everything black. That's one thing that's bothered me about the X-Men films. I'm just like, they don't, I don't know.
I'm really excited about what they look like in First Class. I think it's really cool that they stepped it up and went, you know what, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. And I'm also glad it's not spandex. I think they found a really good middle ground for it.
Yeah.
They look like flight suits, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's another movie that I'm looking forward to this year coming out.
Yeah, I'm optimistic, but I don't want to get my hopes up, man, because I saw the trailers for Wolverine and thought, ooh, how could they mess this up? And then I was eating my hat after that movie.
I've kind of trained myself not to get excited about movies at all. Just wait, because I've been disappointed so many times within the recent years. I'm like, you know what, I'm done getting my hopes up. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's how I feel about that.
You said let's not be afraid of colorful costumes. Also, let's not be afraid to try other things besides like rubber.
True.
Not everything has to be leather and rubber.
Getting back to Green Lantern, I'm glad they're going with the 3D costume suit or whatever, because with a character like that, his power comes from his ring. I don't think you can, do a costume like that, because his power is just based on really just magic, so to speak. Because I'm like, there's no other way you can really make this look good, because otherwise, I don't know. I mean, you look at Thor. I mean, the costume looked good. It looks good. I mean, a lot of people have complained about that too, but I think it looks great. You know what I mean? It has that godlike feel to it. Like, yeah, it's basic material they're using for the costume. But they could have easily made that CGI, but it wouldn't have made sense. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, like the first production stills people saw, they thought it looked kind of hokey, and my reaction was, yes, this looks kind of hokey.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it looks lighthearted and whatnot, and I'm like, thank you.
It looks comic book. I'm like, you guys just pulled it off the page and went, I think we could make this work. I was like, yes.
Yeah, and now I don't think the audience is afraid of costumes.
I don't either.
I think they just have come to accept that superheroes are just a part of our culture, and costumes are too.
Well, I think that's maybe the most important point to make about how people feel about characters based on the movies is let's give audiences a little bit more credit. Let's do them the right way and expect our audiences to accept it. And then, sometimes they're not going to, but that's the chance you have to take. Like, we should take risks in favor of the audience, not the other way around.
Yeah, like, the people who go to see movies are smart. They're not going to be like, oh, you gotta, I didn't understand that, or you don't have to tone it down or whatnot. These people are smart, and
you always are going to have some of those people. But
right.
The thing is, we're not going to be able to educate people if we keep making entertainment for dumb people.
Right.
So we have to make smart entertainment and raise a bar and let people reach a bar instead of lowering our standards to meet dumb people.
Exactly.
I think everyone has the capacity to be smarter, but they don't live up to it because society tells them they don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not to get soapboxy, but I think that's what happens. Sometimes with movies is we say, well, we have to make movies that will make money, and so you advertise it and make it look like a big, fun action movie or whatever. Then you get them in the seats, and you make that. You also make them think at the same time. Everybody wins.
It's like I said, it's just all about variety. I mean, yeah, I can enjoy the occasional, dumb explosion movie or whatever.
Sure. There's nothing wrong with that, but we need variety, as you say.
Yeah. You don't have to do every movie like that. You can always present a character in a way that the audience would never expect. And they'd be like, oh, okay, I see why people like this character.
And at the very least, make it about something.
Yeah.
And like I'm always saying, the best superhero films are the ones that are superhero, but then they're also something else first.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you look at the worst superhero movies and the ones with the characters, as you say, that people don't like because they don't know anything else about them, most of them are just superhero movies and nothing else.
Yeah, and even if you take something that's not really per se a superhero, Jonah Hex, I mean, that's not bad, but you could have easily did a Western with that. People would have been like, I didn't know this was a comic book.
Well, I think Jonah Hex is a perfect example of that. I didn't see it, but from because I read the reviews. But I'll watch it later one time when I rewind it, and that's all I'm going to do probably. But anyway, don't you think that's a prime example though? Because they decided to shoot it like a superhero movie and it was bad.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's different variety of characters in comic books, and I think that if that movie would have done good, people would have been like, wow, these guys really know how to, present these characters. I'm like, and they would have been surprised that it was based off a comic book.
That's right.
There was another movie that came out. I forget the actor who played it, and it was based off a comic book. I didn't even know. I'm like, wow, I had no idea.
I was going to ask you if you'd ever had that experience. I've done that. I've gone into movies and not known they were based on comics.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, okay. I mean, I had that. People knew Watchmen was based off a comic book, but the way I like the movie. Some people don't like it. Some people do. But you look at a movie like that, people would have been like, oh, it's just a typical superhero movie. But it turned out to be something a lot more than that. I mean, there's a lot of messages in that movie and in the comic as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, I mean, some people don't agree with me on this, but I mean, it's one of the most faithful adaptations of anything I've ever seen.
Oh, same here.
With the exception of the ending, and that's forgivable for me because I actually like the movie's ending better. But anyway,
I agree.
People don't like it when I say that, but I do. But I do. I love that ending.
Other characters, I think should be brought to the screen. I mean, they got that whole Wonder Woman show coming out, and I'm like, they're trying to play that realistic. I'm like, that's not a character that. I mean, she's an Amazon princess. She's more like a warrior. You shouldn't be playing it like she's Batman.
No. Again, what you do is you take what could be looked at as kind of silly stuff, and you play it really straight, and you give it, you give it really good character dimension, and it turns into something spectacular, which I personally think is exactly what happened with the animated movie.
And that's the thing about animation. I love live action, but the thing about animation, there's just some things you can do in animation you can't do in live action. I'm like, with DC and Marvel, they've been putting out these direct-to-DVD adaptations, and they've been trying to aim them towards a more mature audience. I'm like, that's great. And they've been, bringing out different characters and whatnot. I'm like, these are really, I mean, not all of them are great by any means, but, you get stuff like Batman Under the Red Hood. I'm like, that's great. That shows that, you can tell a story in any medium, and it can be good.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have easily been a live-action Batman movie, but look, it was animated.
Yeah, and really serious and sucks you in, and was, in my opinion, a little better than the source material. I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing what that movie did.
And another thing is, you look at like TV shows like I got introduced to a lot of characters through Justice League Unlimited. I'm like, I didn't even know who half those characters were. I'm like, that was presented well. I think animated series really help out with getting respect for characters that aren't well known, like The Question and whatnot.
Oh yeah, sure. And just letting people know who they are in the first place.
Right.
Because there's some really cool comic characters that'll never get their due anywhere.
Oh yeah.
Like Resurrection Man.
And just by the name, people would be like, yeah, you can't take this seriously, but you never know. And it doesn't have to be taken seriously. I mean, you can do it. I mean, it can still be good and not have to be serious. That's another point I'm trying to make here.
Yeah, but exactly like you said, let's have some variety. Good means a lot of different things. And a lot of times it's all about intention. It's like, if you made this thing that you meant to be silly and it's also clever and fun and, all that, then it's good, and I mean, okay, here's an interesting thing. I actually don't hate the Spirit.
You know what? I don't hate it because I don't really compare it to the comic. To me, it's just a different thing. I'm like,
it is a different thing. Yeah, exactly.
But if they would have, say, oh yeah, this is exactly like the comic, I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, the thing with the Spirit was, I thought it was hilarious, and so I enjoyed it, but I had to switch gears while I was watching it in the theater because I was like, this is not the movie they advertised.
And again, back to advertising, you just never know, because I'm like, you would think that would be more of a serious tone kind of movie, but it's
well, what they advertised? They advertised Sin City.
Exactly.
They made it look like Sin City, and then you went in, and it wasn't. And so, people who know the Spirit, and I wasn't one of them at the time, people who know the Spirit were like, well, I wish you'd made an actual Spirit movie. And yeah, me too. And once again, it's one of those things where it's sad that, like, the thing people would know now would be that movie, except nobody went and saw it. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of people who you'd mention the Spirit, they still wouldn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who still don't know what Sin City is. I mean,
wow.
It's I don't know. It's interesting. It really is.
Well, so that's all we have on this, and all the other many things we talked about. Zipblockgory and I have actually never talked before, so a lot of this was us just talking about things that because we haven't gotten to talk before. So this was fun.
Yeah, it was, and I hope to do it again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll do it again. So, anyway, thanks a lot for listening, and I'll see you on my channel, and Zipblockgory will see you on his channel.
Yes. Take it easy, guys.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye.